Okay.
Yes.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you. Sorry for the delay. Thank you, Ellis, for the invitation and the Architectural Foundation. Thank you, everyone. Yes, as Ellis was explaining, we thought when we were discussing with Ellis to be part of this series, which we really like very much what you're proposing and what you have proposed for these days. We thought that because we have this opportunity that everyone comes to our place, then we had this chance to show some material that we cannot show when we go abroad for a lecture that you normally bring your PowerPoint or your images. This is a privilege, a luck that we have that you are in with us in the office. But then we thought that we could show you how we are developing this project, which is just started a couple of months ago after winning a competition in Brussels for the reconversion of a former theater space, then later became a cinema, a space in the old town of Brussels, which now is in a very derelict condition because it was differently occupied during the 20th century. The last 20-25 years it was empty and is a quite degraded state, as I said, but it's kind of a ruin. But it's very moving as a space because remains the different state and the different lives, let's say, that happened there until now. The building has been bought by a society, Bruxelles Laïque, which is a very progressive society which intends to turn the building into a center for different activities, events and music events, and also arts, creation workshops for creation of art, and also inclusive different parts of the society in risk of exclusion. And this is a very wide, very open program. And so this was a competition that we just won, and since March we are working. We won the competition together with a Belgium-based office, West Architecture, which is we are very working very well, very good partner so far, very enthusiastic. It's going very nice at the moment. The building was 1930s.
1930s is a building by Victor Bourgeois. That it's an architect who was very much a pioneer of modern architecture in Belgium, and who joins the CIAM, the Congress of International Architecture of Modern Architecture, since the very first one. And it's a beautiful, well, it's very much derelicted, but it still has a beautiful facade and impressive interior. The facade is a white box from the 30s with a very elevated horizontal window. And I show you how we have some pictures here in the back. So, and I'll show you how we found it. When we were working on the competition, we managed, there was a guided visit to the place, and this is how we found it. You arrive here through very narrow streets, and suddenly inside there is this big empty space, abandoned, has been. Second World War, Nazis were here, then the British were here after the war, and then in the 80s some squatters, there was a fire, so it's quite in a bad condition, but it's impressive the dimension of it. And a section of this building, of this situation, is this one. This is a section how it is now. So it's this huge space here with the fly tower, and inside seats. It's like a mountain of seats. There were 2,500 seats at the moment when it was a theater. And that's amazing. And then the Bruxelles Laïque, there's a client that has a building and wants to organize all this concert here, had a very interesting program. We had to place 3 big rooms. One was called Big Salle, and for 400 seats seated, 900 people standing up, a small music room of 200 and 400 standing up, and then a space that was very called Forum, that was going to be like the foyer or the they were describing it as a piazza, that we thought about when we visit this building. We thought, okay, maybe this space that they call the piazza, that everyone can meet and people can enter very easily, can be what they already have here. So we thought, okay, let's try to organize all these 3 big rooms. Besides, there are some offices, but these are the main rooms. Let's split it here. But this space that we saw, that was here, 40 meters high, it needed natural light to become much more public, and we could consider it as a piazza. And then we decided to put the big hall, like organizing the ceiling of it. It will be like the roof, and the small roof saal will be like the ground of it. So you will get into this building and you will arrive to this public space, very open, and you will trespass these 2 big rooms without noticing, and you will be in this place for gathering. The entrance is through the street. Here is these are still the panels from the competition, but here you can see the original Victor Bourgeois building. Beautiful with this entrance. This is how it will grow because of the volume. These doors here, I show you where it is in the plan of the city, where it is. The building has 2 facades, 2 streets, sorry, and this will be the main entrance. This other one has a much more a character of a backstage. But we want to connect the 2 streets from the inside, so we make a small passage that will lead you here or will lead you to the piazza, to the forum area. And before arriving there, there is a lot of things going on. There is a bar, there is the entrance to the petite salle, the reception, the staircase going to the grand salle above, a cafe, a lot of things trying to get the intensity of the street to spend hours here to welcome people. This part of the building, some of these geometries of the existing building, this part will be the kind of the hidden part that makes possible that everything that the public sees can take place. So it's also the area where the lorries will stop and deliver things, and the musicians and people of Light will work. Instead, this part will be much more the entrance of the public. These doors also, we can see them in this axle. This is the entrance that will get through the different rooms until the forum area, where there is a circular stage that is the original one of the 30s. This stage, we can see it in this render we made for the competition. As you can see, is the old stage. Now it's has natural light falling in. Some of the seats, the existing seats, on the top there is a room, the grand salle, that it's flying over your head. So it's very much the space that we found here that will be kind of kept with all its dimension, because it's really so big that it's really a public space. So this the light that we can get through it, it's going through the flight tower. We will open some windows on the roof of it, that the light will fall down all these 20 meters until here, down here. And then the flight tower is so big that there is enough room to place some of the Bruxelles-like offices, so they will be working inside. There is even another space that still has no program connected to a terrace. This terrace up here will be defined between the flight tower and the grand salle. Will be a space like inside the building, but open air. And I'm going to show you now the model we built for the competition. And here is the terrace.
Yes, this is the terrace. This is the volume of the new salle and the volume of the former flight tower extended, which becomes a light well, as Eva was saying before. So this is the street, the backstage street. This is the frontal street, Rue Malines. So we have here the street. This is the facade of Victor Bourgeois, the original one, which is listed. The only part of the building that we have to protect is this fragment that was listed. And then we protect some. We let's say kept some more, but we will explain later. But this is the extension, and this is the existing one. So if you get in there, you can see a bit of the rue intérieur. I put you the light. No, ya se ve. And then here So this is the facade where the lorries come. This is the exit of the Rue Interieur.
The shortcut.
The shortcut. This is where the lorries will park and leave their things here, and then go into with the lift, go up into the big salle. So this is the backstage street, let's say. So this is the part where the forum will be, where the light coming from the top with a new light well, and you will see some of the stages that are saved from the former building and become kind of a bar here in this mezzanine stage level, until the galleries, which you can see at the end, my hand showing the Rue Malines, which is at the other end. So this is the building, the fragment of the building that we also keep, the flight tower that you can see also here in this photograph here. And so this is as it is now. So this is the flight tower. You see, it's opaque at the moment. We'll open the windows in the side or in the roof, and we will extend it. And also here you have the big salle. So this space is containing the terrace in the middle. So these two buildings, you see the surroundings are quite high, full of hotels and offices buildings. So the building will be more in a company with them. And we'll keep this space for going outdoors in between the pavilion and the salle. So which is this space here. And we have here. So if I would like to open you a bit the model, so you can see the different parts. So this is the roof, which is a roof that allows light into the big salle through these sheds. You can have natural light, but also you can have some ventilation of the salle and some desenfumage, which the smoke can go out in case of fire, etc. So it has several technical qualities, this roof. So let's take out the terrace first. Then, so this is the big salle, as Eva was explaining before. Is this salle, which is for 900 people standing or 450 seats, which is quite big, has a lot of, so has the parterre, then you have the galleries, then you have the balcony, the galleries around, and so on. So it's this space at the moment. So these seats are retractile. This is this piece that you saw here, in the same scale. This one. So this is what we are working now in different thinking different possibilities for seats and for containing more or less people sitting, standing. We are adjusting the program at the moment with the client, but this is this fragment. And then, so we have this part, which is the former flight tower that becomes this light well with the offices. The offices are here and here as well in a mezzanine. And here is the part which Eva was saying is a pavilion where you can exit into the terrace. So you can have this space, here, like that linked to it. So you can go out from the pavilion with a drink and because in an evening of a presentation of something, an event, you can use it for outdoor activities. So we have, if you look here into the model, now the remainings are there is one fragment which is this fragment here. You can understand more if you look into the existing dossier. I don't know if you are showing it well. So this fragment here.
Ellie, can you see the book properly?
Like that.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, perfect.
So this is some fragments that are existing. Besides the facade, we are trying to keep all these fragments in the back as well. So this was a place for the dressing rooms before, and this was the flight tower. So all this is giving this geometry that you can see here in the model. This is kind of folded geometry comes for keeping this part of the building that is there, which in a way is this fragment that for us is very part of the history. See which kind of wall do we have with bricks and all these marks of different fires and uses and roof, different roof from the cinema and from the theater and some curtains and so on. So all this life which we see there, this kind of accumulation of time, but also the scale, the amazing scale that Eva was mentioning, and the grades is this fragment that we want to keep. So this wall is this one which we find in the model here, and we would like to then keep all this fragment. We are keeping it, and then all the rest are the dressing rooms for the actors and all the spaces for technicians, the bar, the kitchen, and the moncha, the lift, the elevator, and so on. So all this is kind of a service building, this service block, which serves in a way for the two big sals and the big forum in a way to happen. So it's here in a site. And then, so the remains here, you can see, as what Eva was explaining, a bit kind of a public space that you enter, the rue interieur, the shortcut. So this is from Rue Malines, if you arrive, and then you can come in, and so you have this bench, long bench, and then you have the bar where you can order a drink maybe, or you can get into the little theater if you have the tickets, or you go to ask for information in the queue, in the information point, or you go to the forum because somebody is speaking or a debate or something, or you sit here with your book or your mobile, etc. in this fragment of ruin that is there remaining. And then all behind you have this bar which is called Café Baghdad, because it used to be a place which was there in the 30s and 40s and 50s, very successful, which in a way links you with the gallery, with the Tribune again. So this space is kind of a continuous walking up, and then you can go up with the ramp to the vestibule of the brick salle, and then you can come down again with the other staircase. In a way, you rise and you walk up, and from the salle you can go into the terrace outdoor. So in a way, you climb the section while you can walk up the section of the building. If we take this away, we are seeing the last bit of the project, which is the petite salle, the small salle, the small room for that could be theater, concerts, and cinema, and so on. It's linked to the Rue Malines with these doors, because also part of the program said that they might need to connect to the street, and then in a way they can rent it separately as an independent piece. So this is the model. Now maybe you can see some of the drawings you are doing now of the salle, no?
Yes. Yes, well, we are at the moment developing the grand salle, and some changes from the competition is that here the seats are kind of parallel, and we're trying to fold them a little bit so that they have much more a meeting, so it's a meeting shape. They are much more together. Then we are thinking on how to make it from the parterre to the first balcony, the group of people. We are thinking on how to group people, because this room will be for seated people, but also it can be a mix of some people seated, some people standing up. So we are figuring out how these different groups of people will fill in this space. We don't have a lot of space horizontal, but we have a very tall room. So we will have levels of people standing up here. And at the moment we are working on it. Even there is a version that had some growth, but might be this estimate. And
what about those pink drawings over there?
The pink drawings. The pink drawings is, we are thinking that maybe we are not sure of the second balcony, if it will be there or not. And here inside of the balcony is a staircase, but there is more people standing up also. So all the second gallery will be around and people standing up. So we are into discussing these issues this week. And also at the moment we are building up a model in bigger scale. In 1:50, it's this model over here that is being made these days here in the studio. we make the models ourselves because are working models, and so once we have the drawings, we want to test with this one. In this case, we are very much concerned about the proportions of things and the width of the interior street, and also when now it's here we have the bar. This is the street. The one staircase will be here to go up to the grand salle, and it will help us. It's big enough that we can put our heads inside, and we will see how close the grand salle that will be here, the vestibule of the big room, how close it will be to the flight tower, because we want to keep this big void here. So it's going to be useful to check all these proportions. So here I'm showing, this is the flight tower that has been opened, and some of these windows or door are connections of the new offices of Brussels. This is a small staircase that is there, we want to preserve. And here it's the new staircase coming up to the grand salle, arriving to the forum. Okay. So I think I'm losing focus. Okay. There is.
So there is something that also could be.
One more thing that we wanted to show you today has to do with the meetings we are having with the client to advance with the project. And we have them in different folders, more or less every 15 days.
So this was one of the third or the fourth one. One of the issues when after winning the competition, he started to focus in some specific parts that were perhaps, they were explaining the brief, but of course, when you start to speak with the client in that direct, and then he explains how there are some things that are not so precisely done, etc. So he adjusts that with you, and you draw again. So one of the things were the connection between the lorry and the Montcharge and the big lift that brings the things to the big salle. So he was asking if was this crossing people in between the lorry and the woods was good or not. So he was trying to say, look, all the private area and the public area should not cross. So we were trying to make a jump of the lift into this part next to the lorry. We were starting to draw this here, trying to bring the Montcharge near to the big lorry, to the big truck. So we were doing this exercise at the beginning, trying to see how the staircase could come up. All the space for the lorry was there still, and then you had all the rest could stay. But then when things were moving up into the upper levels, for example, in the level when you arrive with the public to the big salle, this part, this Montcharge here, this lift here was in the middle of the public, and then it had to cross, and so we're generating other problems. So it was crossing here, not downstairs, but here was crossing the public, so it was not working very well. Okay. This was all this discussion at the beginning in this moment, for example. Later on, we continue with this kind of logistics part of the building, which was for him very important, and he wanted to have more more clarified. So we had the situation of trying to move the truck into the other part, trying to move the street in a bit lower level. Be careful, we are not focused, I think. Just a minute until we focus again. Wait a minute. And sorry, because of the speed and the transparent paper, sometimes doesn't work. Okay, now we are there again. So this is the truck is moving there, and the street is moving down a bit more closer to the forum. So to leave the truck and the lift together in the upper part, we're making this exercise here, trying to think, well, maybe this is more continuous as a street, and then it's okay. We don't turn, we move down. So the kind of the weight, the gravity center of the project moves down a bit, and then you leave everything to deliver up here. So we were trying this kind of drawings. We are working with this partner we have in Belgium, as we said, west, and then we draw some fragment of the plan. For example, on top of the former AutoCAD drawing, and so we try to make the new and see this was the stage where the roof was still here. But then when we try this fragment only, we put some papers under, we scan it, and we send, and then they send back their proposal instead. So we were, in this moment, we were making the exercise of comparing, no? What happens with the truck and the lift here, and what happened with the other thing here, and then, etc. Other things like the bar were under discussion. But it's interesting for us to have this kind of comments from the client, that when we are talking to him, we understand really the fact which makes the building work for him. One of the last ones, which was quite interesting, because last week or 2 weeks, 10 days ago, when we were discussing, this is kind of drawing that he would make. Say, look, maybe your street it should be lower, even lower, and then we have a big trailer coming from all around Europe with the bands and all the musicians, etc. We need 16 to 17 meters of truck plus 3 meters of parking and so on. So we really moved very much more radical. And then he was also speaking about the bar, and in the Café Baghdad, where the tables, all this, he needed a bit wider kind of bridge, not just a bridge, but a wider space for the tables and all that, with the bar as an island there. Mm-hmm. So we were making the drawing of this situation with the bar, the tables, the interior more into the lower fragment of the building now, which is how we work now. So this is more a private entry with the bikes and the containers and the posts, etc. So you go up to the offices, and the actors move here, and then they go privately to the dressing rooms. So these are some drawings which also ask change of the bar into some more space combined with tickets office, box office. The material we get sometimes is this kind of
Frankenstein.
Yeah, Frankenstein combined material, because it's a series of papers on top of others, because sometimes some fragments are restudied again and again. So there's a first study and then another. So instead of redrawing again with pieces of paper in between, we get this kind of palimpsest, let's say, of the thoughts, and also some of the drawings. For example, this is Antoine and Maria, which are two of the architects of West, which send some material, and we draw on top of that, and then we stamp and we send it, and then we send back with their comments. So the relationship is with the hand drawings. We've been able to continue to work on top of the AutoCAD, and so mixing the technique and with them in a very fluid and intense way.
Okay.
This is more or less how we are now. Okay. Elisa, maybe this is more or less what we wanted to show you, not to make it too long the presentation, because more or less this is the material we have at the moment in the table, and the discussions we are having with our partners and the client to go on. And perhaps, I don't know if someone is interested in making some question or some comment or something on yourself. We can make a bit of a conversation.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. It was, if there were technical problems, you wouldn't have guessed. It was fairly, very elegantly put together.
Thank you. I think we speed up. Because of the
guys, so everyone, I've opened the chat box, so if anyone has questions for Eva and Ricardo, then pitch them in there and I will give you the microphone. But maybe I could kick off. I mean, in a way, I sort of sense this, this project is obviously a child of Salah Beckett, to some extent, that it's your second theatre, I think, and a return to working with an existing building. And I know that in a way there's certainly Ricardo, I think you worked on, when you were both at Marius's office, worked on the Utrecht Town Hall project.
In Utrecht.
In a way, I suspect is maybe the start of you thinking about working with existing fabric. Is that fair to say? And I wonder if you could say a little about how I mean, one of the remarkable things about Salah Beckett is just the attitude to the texture of the fabric, to the patina of the building, and the material qualities of it. How are you addressing those in this project? And will it have a similar quality of slightly elegant ruination? And how do you see your attitude to the atmosphere of the building sort of developing in the series of transformational projects that you've undertaken?
Okay, then well, this is it's true. My first approach to this work was when winning this competition for Utrecht in the new city council in the Netherlands with the ISS office, and then we started the first competition we did with Eva was also to make a plan for renovation of a former old town, etc. The fact is here when we started our office, there were a lot of possible commissions or competitions for working with the as found, with existing, and but we've been, because we haven't had this experience in the school, neither Eva here or myself in Buenos Aires, we haven't had any teaching on this subject. Now it's more common probably to have it, but in our times, no. And then we learned that we kind of position ourselves by doing the work, the different works. We have been lucky to have this last 20 years of continuous work in existing fabric, in different, not just building, but landscape project, public spaces were former industrial spaces and so on. And when we tried all the time to deal with something that was already there, try to in a way establish a conversation that has something already talking to us about something that happened there before. In the case of Salah Beckett, the situation is more probably was more radical, because also the client was very much in favor of this intermediate state of the things, of these things that are, you don't know if they are going forward or backwards in time. You don't know if it's getting more ruin or more activated. And this for them, for people of theater, is very positive as an atmosphere for a creation activity as they have, and also for the value of the process, how the value of the doubt, of the uncertain, and all that. And so the building as we found it in Salah Beckett case, it was former cooperative, it was not listed again, and but we saw there all this heritage, not just a physical one, but the emotional and the social heritage that was there, very clear, very evident, because all the neighbors were like looking to the building and were very present still in its history. So we got more into this subject of the social heritage, which is something that perhaps at the beginning of our work we hadn't had so much of this possibility. Perhaps also, as I said, the client was not so much interacting with us in that sense. We have to say that we also form this approach, this interest more and more with the relation with some clients. We have been talking to us with love and with care for things that in principle you wouldn't care, or they are not listed. So this opened us our way of looking at things with another eyes, I think, than when you only work for, let's say, for the administration, that is something is a client more anonymous. So more and more in the recent years, we've been working with this discussion with some clients of the value, but not just the value of the listed thing, but also the emotional thing and the different layers of time, etc. And we think that all this this time that the materials bring with them along are going to be part of the future of the building. So in a way, the way of Salah Beckett is some is adding to the quality of the sala Beckett themselves, the work, the activity they make. So the building is bringing the history, the fictions and the ghosts and everything that I've had already with it. So they add one to the other, and it's a better end, better condition at the end. We are at the beginning of these ones, but all the state that you have seen in the photographs is really breathtaking when you arrive there. Not just the materiality here, perhaps they have found that we want to keep more is the void that is there, which is really unusual and very unique in the old town of Brussels. Is something that is really hidden in the old town, and you didn't expect, because you enter through very narrow corridors of the former theater. It's a very low ceilings, etc. And then suddenly you arrive in this place with 15 meters of height, and then it's a cubicle space that is really something fascinating. So keeping that in this case will be perhaps something that in Sala Beckett work about the materials and the elements, perhaps.
Guys, we have lots of questions, so we may be here some time. I'm gonna unmute people, and the first one up is Carton 123. Carton, you have the mic.
Yeah. Hola Eva, hola Ricardo.
Hola.
Hola. I have a small question, and maybe it's already answered also. I remember in Sala Beckett there was a lot of time before construction actually started, and you gave the building to a group of theater people who could use it in the meantime, if I got it right. And I was wondering if something similar is going to happen here, or is it just too difficult to already open it up to a theater company, because there might be no theater company using it for the moment, so maybe the client is a bit abstract as well.
Well, the case of in this old building that we were going to renovate for Sala Beckett was empty, and then Sala Beckett didn't have enough space in the other venue they had in north of Barcelona, in Gracia, in another neighborhood. So we moved there. When they noticed that the money was not coming quickly, they decided to move there for 1 year. And it was a good test. So it was the same group of people of Sala Beckett staying in the building for 1 year. If the building was in a bad condition, but not as bad as this one, maybe similar as the one in Brussels, but it was the same team who wanted to be there for 1 year. It was good. It was good in the way that they test how it was to stay in such an old building. They were coming from an industrial building, but was not that old, and didn't have the quality of things. So in a way, the year they were there were some clues, like they accepted some noise in between the classes, the writing classes of theater and things, that because the doors were so beautiful, and they were saying, it's not a problem because we really like these doors, don't worry, we will. So it was good to see how they could live there, work there for many, many hours. In this case, we're not sure. The client, he wants it to become a musical venue. So with these 3 rooms, might be sometimes theater, it's more music. But we were thinking with our team I don't know if he will be interested in using it for some things. Maybe yes, something can be organized, and else you can come, living in Brussels. But we'll see. But we were thinking with our partners there, with OS, to organize our office, small space to work inside the buildings, also to spend hours there and finding out other things. But somehow also it's nice to find out more things about this building and knowing it more and observing it more. Also because then we hope that it will be, our observation will be careful. We'll try to be careful, like in Sala Beckett, but we don't know what we hope it will be a different. The nice thing is that every project is different, and we don't know exactly what's going to be the end and how much things will resist. somehow as it happens with Salabeque, because the building was so fragile. It was such an economic construction built by the works themselves. So during construction, we were afraid every day that one of these big machines will break some wall and tear it down. So there always this uncertainty of what will arrive until the end, when the building is open, how many walls will remain and all these things. But we will try to keep the qualities that we have found now there.
Guys, we've got lots of questions, so let's. It'd be nice to kind of run through them all. So let's, if we can have.
So we will go faster. We will
go
yes
a bit faster, please.
We will answer yes or no. We will answer yes or no. Okay.
Claire Dobler, you're next.
Just an easy question. At what point in your design process do you start making the models?
We start.
At what stage?
What stage? When we have a doubt. We want to test something, like for the competition, we started with the urban model. So we had a model in 1 to 200 to see our neighbors, how tall they were, how much we were thinking on growing this room, if it was going to be too high for the little street we have in front. So usually the urban models we started at the same time we start drawing, because we want to have this piece of the city in our studio. And then later this one, in 1 to 100, when we had already everything defined, we wanted to see a little bit how it worked all together, the pieces. And then now we are building this one in 1 to 50, slowly, very slowly, because we are concerned on how much the grand salle will occupy this forum space. So usually there is a concern or a conversation with the client that we want to have, and sometimes models are easier to communicate, and then we build the model. But we start drawing, so we don't trust the models as so much as for designing or for design, but it's for testing more than it's testing.
It has a lot. It's a big help for proportions and distances and relation about the elements and all that. For us, it's very useful to get, as you get with us now with the camera, to get in our head inside and then think, like looking at it and doubting with the model. So then we continue to draw. As Eva said, we evolve the project drawing. The model is a test.
Even this model, we travel with it to Brussels for the meetings we had during the competition with the collaborators on acoustic and the scenographers. And it was very useful for everyone to understand very quickly how the space was going to be. So they are always working models, and this one even it was scattered, and it's a second version of it. So when things changes, we change the piece.
Because it's fragmentary, we can if some part of it changed substantially, we can change the whole thing, and then we replace it, and then you always keep the old one, so that you can compare. Perhaps if there are some fragments that keep on changing a lot, so there are sometimes 2 or 3 or 4 versions of one part. For example, the one that Eva has to say,
like
or any
service building.
So it's easy because the fragments are kind of an idea. The fragments are. Yeah, it's a kind of a concept of thought. So the salle is one element, the service building is one element. You don't cut floor by floor, but you cut it as a kind of a thought. So the thought of the light well is one thing. If you change it, you can change it all, because of course if you change something here, will affect this one. So it's important not to replace only fragment, but maybe to redo it to see how everything looks again.
Next up, we have Soraya Smithson.
Soraya, hi.
Soraya, hang on. Soraya, you have the microphone.
My question was just, you showed the folders about the Zoom meetings. Are you finding that doing it over a digital platform, there's a sort of focus to the kind of the conversation, and there's a fluidity about how the design process moves forward, or are you finding it as a hindrance because you're not physically seeing people and the clients and looking through?
No, we are doing it because we need to have a record of all the different moments of the project, because it's a project that has a lot of intensity in terms of material produced. And then and it will take very long. It will take 4 years until the opening. So we know in 2 years or 1 year or 6 months we will forget about many of the steps. So we like to keep this kind of a conversation with the client or with our partners or with the collaborators, etc., engineers, in folders in a way to make us remind what came first and next, and etc. Sometimes you return to some of the steps that were 2 or 3 months ago or 6 months ago, and then you remember some solution that perhaps is better or you like better than what you're drawing now.
Also because they are kind of part of it. The conversation is still open. So sometimes there are moments that was before, 1 week before. So that's why we try to organize it this way, so that we can come back.
Yeah, also with all this material that we produce on the tables they contain ideas that you've been thinking for hours or days, etc. And we don't want to throw them away because they might be useful. Also can remind you something that you've been undoing the process of thinking something. So we stamp the ones that have a kind of a value. We stamp them and we put them in folders, so you always can track back where some of the solutions and see the twists of the thinking.
We have been very organized this time because we started also this conversation with the client when we were at home working, and we just brought this project there for the first day. So it was very nice to trying to even have an archive of it at home. And then it's quite useful. Like organizing this, we found a drawing from the dressing room that we like it more, and it was 3 weeks ago. So we will go back to it because it is possible. So it's nice. Sometimes you find things.
So next we've got Max Dudney from who's under, I think, the Bartlett Year 1 handle, which I'm unmuting. Max, are you there?
Yeah, hello. I would like to say, first of all, that was an absolutely wonderful presentation, and that's actually it's the best thing that I've seen online throughout the whole lockdown. So thank you very much for that. What I really loved is the way that you used your studio in a very tactile way and invited us in. So it actually feels like, you know, we're sort of engaging with the work on the wall, the tactility of the models. And my question is really, how do you charm your clients in such a way that I can tell why you charm your clients, of course, because your work is so wonderful. But I guess the question is, with the element of time, it seems like the process of both the drawings and the models require a certain amount of time in the way that you work. And do you have that process and conversation with your clients, or do you think that the particular projects that you choose working with existing buildings are more suitable to that process?
Well, we work very close. We need the clients to draw because this is his project, and it's the client who start. They are the motor. No? There's this abandoned building, and they decided to do something with it. So we really want to make sure that we know what he wants to do with it, and also to explain the possibilities that this building can offer, because also when you match your thoughts with an existing building, there might be a coordination between what's there, what can offer, and take profit of the quality is already there. So all this is, and also the things that we like to do, and with the 2 teams of architects. So there's a lot of the things going on. So it really needs a lot of time, and we think you need to invest a lot in the definition of the project. And we really enjoy to work with the client, and that they give us the information, because you work a lot and there will be a lot of effort afterwards of construction, and the building has to last. So the first meeting and to adjust the building are so important that really want to involve the client, and then I think they see that it's important when they are involved, and they see the drawings evolving and the conversations get into another stage and things are improving. They get into the process of spending time at this moment of the definition of it. So
yeah, they understand better. When we produce this material, we bring to them and the models and the fragments and all that. they see that for us is very important, and what we can found in the space, and they see that that's something for in favor of themselves, of their project, because if they give you time, if they are with you, enjoying the process a bit longer than probably was at the beginning, but maybe last 1, 2, 3 months longer, but at the end they know that this building will be there for many, many years. So they understand that this process of producing this material and etc. is a kind of starting a conversation with them. And then we are building something together. And this enthusiasm, this will of doing something that will fulfill their expectations and will be a place that is, the people will be there and happy, and so it's something that you communicate, and then they are back with you, and then I think the material helps to make this kind of complicity and link and kind of a condition of working to making a teamwork.
Guys, there's a couple of questions which I'm just going to compress into one because they both relate to computers ultimately. Sam is asking, he's asking about the use of hand-made physical models and asking, do you do BIM or computer 3D modeling first and then construct the handmade models, or do you cut the model by hand directly referring to 2D drawings? They seem so precise and informative. And then John Brett is saying, do you use any computer programs in the design process, such as to predict where light and shadows hit throughout the day, and to simulate materials and textures in early design phases?
Well, we don't work with models with 3D models at all. We make these models ourselves here in the workshop of the office, and we like them to be slow, especially and fragmentary. And many times there are some models that are not finished, especially because you are studying a fragment of the. We think that the computer models for us are not useful because we need them. We need them for studying something, and then when you see them growing, you see the problem and you let it grow, and then you make some indications, or you work with it while it grows, or you draw something. If it's done in a moment with a computer, you don't see it going on, and so for us it's absolutely useless, because the model for us is a part of going with us with the thoughts. So we are thinking slowly with the drawings, and the model is slowly with us. So in a way, you are seeing the space appearing little by little, and then you see some things, and then you modify the drawing and so on. So it's a working material. It can, for us, it makes no sense to make it with a computer. With the computer machines,
because also they grow as you know more about it. So kind of we try that the documents also have the rhythm of the speed of the project. So if the model goes too fast, it's too fast for us. We don't know as much. So we want to be for a few weeks doubting about the grand salle, also with the client.
Sometimes the model then grows some fragments that are more clear and leave some others that are unclear for doing later, and maybe you never do them. And that's okay for us, because this fragmentary thing is the way you think the things. You think them by fragments, you don't think them completely, probably, or at least for us. So the models are representing this fragmentary condition of the thoughts and the unfinishedness of them, because you are thinking on something and you don't know how it ends. Who cares? In a way, that's some point, and then you define that and so on. And then when we bring to the clients this material, is more open, is in process, as we said before, and then they can enter to participate. So we are not interested in finished models, for example, presentation models, and that even if the models then serve for presentation, but we are doing them for studying. And this unfinished condition is part of living, is kind of bringing your dots with you to the client, and he enters to discuss with you with the same dots, and then together you solve the things. So I don't know if we answer.
Okay, I think the last one, I'm sorry if I haven't got you all, but Philip Christou, I'm unmuting.
Oh, Philip. Hello, Philip.
Hi, hello, Eva, and Ricardo. Thank you very much. It's how nice to see your studio, and I think everybody's enjoyed it very much. It's a very nice and warm atmosphere in your studio, I can see. Yeah. I have a question that is, I remember in the Sala Beckett, one of the most wonderful and astounding things that you did there was to open up the entrance and make what you called the liquid light coming down the staircase and from the upper level, and so that the entrance was the public entrance was open and felt a little bit exterior, a little bit, kind of interior and exterior, yeah, both, it seems to me, yeah. And in this project, you've done this brilliant idea of bringing the light down the fly tower so that the forum, I guess, will get this natural light and have a kind of feeling of exterior quality as well, yeah? Yeah. And the internal street, that you call it, is coming through into the space. And my question is the elevation of the service part, that one there that Eva has in the model, is there an elevation to the forum that is like a building elevation?
Yeah, the triangle part.
Yeah. Are there windows and so?
Yeah, this is part of the existing wall, that where the dressing rooms were behind it, and we want to keep it with a little staircase that we keep. Yeah, this is an existing part that shapes all the scene. So the volume of the scene will remain as it is now. When we want to keep the height of it.
Yeah, this kind of exterior kind of character. This is what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And yes,
it's kind of because the building, as Eva was saying, has this incredible wall with those windows and huge. Some of them are huge and they are so beautiful in a way. So with the staircase behind, that you can speak from those windows while you walk up.
Well, that's wonderful. And then over the service wing, are there also windows, or is that covered over by the grand salle?
Which one again?
Here, yeah. There will be all this is there will be the wall of the grand salle. Here.
Okay.
So, yeah, the grand salle comes at this height.
Yes.
So,
and the lower part, the windows are of the kitchen, which is above the bar. So you have the bar, the ground floor, the mezzanine, which is the kitchen with them windows. This is going to the interior street.
Yeah.
But the upper ones are not windows, are the connection of the lodges.
There was the kitchen and the bar that now has become the ticket office.
As well.
That was the competition.
And my question is just how that kind of exterior quality of the internal street and the fly tower are having a sense of exteriority.
It will be great. Yeah, we haven't thought so clear about it, but it would be nice that they have this exterior quality, and probably the time that these walls have on top of them can help in looking much more as a facade that is dirty with the rain and all this.
Yeah.
Yes, but also the natural light is important also to get inside the building. If not, if the forum is a dark area,
yeah,
I wouldn't go.
I can imagine you were the only people in the whole competition that put the forum there.
Huh? Yes.
We just have seen one of we were 5 teams.
Because it was quite risky. I mean, the thing is that space for us was already the forum, as we were reading in the competition brief. So we thought if we save this space from the rest of the program in a way, from the two big salls, the halls, and then etc. The space that is amazing and is very unique. And we thought that is the part of the building that we have to save from the time and from as a ruin. Not just enough, because here there are not so many windows or doors or something, but this, I think the void there is what. So yeah, we had it very clear from the beginning of the competition. So all the effort of the competition was how to make the big sail floating like a roof that you pass under and you don't see it, and the other one becomes a public space mountain, and in a way hiding those two big elephants that you have as a program, which are then when you fit them in, you destroy the rest. So you lose the building.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's for us was very clear that it was not just making this center in any place, but it was in that place. In that place, the quality of that space is that empty interior, and so you have to save it. You know, that was our.
Well, but you're confident that you've kept the height of it and everything.
We are confident. Yes.
That's good.
It's a great presence, no, from the.
Let's see how it comes.
Well, thank you.
Guys, we have to draw to a close, but I'm getting messages up in the chat box, which I don't think Ava and Ricardo can see. Frosso Pimenides saying, "This is proper architecture," in capitals. Tell them I adore them. So I'm sure that sentiment is broadly shared by everyone here tonight. So I'm going to unmute everybody for a round of applause.
Thank you.